as we continue joint operations between NASA and Northrop Grumman's team at their facility in Dulles, Virginia. And we should be seeing that drift out from this view right now of the end effector.
Yep, I confirm, snare is open, and I begin monitoring drift out.
And we heard that call out right there. Snares are open, and the Cygnus XL spacecraft is continuing to drift out. With this on-time release and confirmation from the flight controllers here, they have disabled the space station thrusters. This happens when the robotic arm releases and the spacecraft, and it releases, the spacecraft, so the space station stays in the same orientation with no motion. Teams do this to make sure there are no automatic thrusters that are firing.
Wind has exited the lead. Go for back away.
We copy, proceeding with back away.
Good callouts right there as we're seeing the spacecraft back away or drift away from the space station. The spacecraft is flying free away from the robotic arm. Cygnus was successfully released from the International Space Station robotic arm this morning at 6:06 a.m. Central, 7:06 a.m. Eastern. At the time of release, the space station was flying 260 statute miles above the South Pacific.
Back away in progress.
Good callouts for back away, and we see the Cygnus XL spacecraft continuing to back away from the Canadarm2 robotic arm.
That's 1.5 meters.
We copy.
And as mentioned earlier, European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno is monitoring today's operation from the space station's cupola. She's going to continue to monitor as the spacecraft continues to back away from the International Space Station. We heard call-outs for proceeding with back away as well as back away in progress, and that basically means that ground teams began the commanding for the spacecraft to back away, and then the back away began, and we're seeing good views here of that separation.
Vehicle clearance, approximately 4.5 meters.
We copy. Thank you.
Great callouts there as the vehicle continues to back away. So we're seeing a great close-up view from the International Space Station's robotic arm. You've been hearing conversation between European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno as well as Aaron from our capsule communicator.
Eastern Station, Sophie, should I wait for your go for the back away complete?
We're just catching up to you. Back away complete.
Okay, so performing step 4 of procedure 1.602.
We concur.
You just heard that call out for back away complete, and we are standing by for the departure burn. Once again, Cygnus was successfully released from the International Space Station's robotic arm at 6:06 a.m. Central, 7:06 a.m. Eastern. At the time of release, the space station was flying over the South Atlantic. So as mentioned, we are standing by for that departure burn. The departure burn is a 6-minute and 40-second departure burn, and it'll place the spacecraft in a 24-hour safe trajectory away from the International Space Station.
Depart commended.
And we copy. Cygnus departure burn is in progress. Monitor departure burn, step 5 in 1.602.
Monitoring step 5 in 1.602.
Great callouts as well as views that we're seeing right here. The departure burn is underway. As mentioned, it will last about 6 minutes and 40 seconds. This departure burn continues to move the spacecraft further away from the space station, which is currently just a little over 18 meters away. During the departure burn, we will hear a keep out sphere exit, so we are standing by for that call out. As mentioned, we are standing by for the keep out sphere exit. There are two boundaries around the International Space Station. The first is called the keep out sphere, which is like in the neighborhood of the space station. So once Cygnus passes the keep out sphere, it then travels further out and passes the approach ellipsoid. This is ultimately will set the cargo spacecraft on its 24-hour safe trajectory. These boundaries are safety boundaries that require go, no-go polls, and they're used in the unlikely event that something goes wrong with the Cygnus spacecraft as it departs. The first zone that I mentioned, called the keep out sphere, it's a zone that consists of an imaginary sphere around the space station with a radius of 200 meters. And then the second zone, a little bit further out, called the approach ellipsoid, is an imaginary shape measuring 4 kilometers by 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers. Essentially, think of it as a large 3-dimensional oval. These boundaries are just another chance to confirm that all of the guidance, navigation, and control systems are working correctly on Cygnus as it continues to move away from the space station. If you are just joining us, we are coming to you live from the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. We are here to continue our coverage of Northrop Grumman's 23rd commercial resupply services for NASA to the space station. The Cygnus XL cargo spacecraft, named the SS William Willie McCool, is Northrop Grumman's 22nd commercial resupply services mission to the space station. Following a 175-day stay, the cargo spacecraft departed the space station this morning at 6:06 a.m. Central, 7:06 a.m. Eastern, as the station was flying 260 miles above the South Atlantic.
Houston Station, step 6 complete.
And Sophie, yes, departure burn is complete, and in fact, Cygnus has exited the 200-meter keep-out sphere. And from all of us here in Houston and our partners at Northrop Grumman and our robotics team in Montreal, we want to thank you for your assistance with the departure today. We also want to thank Cygnus as it drifts back to Earth for a job well done. This extra-large format vehicle brought aboard thousands of pounds of science and supplies, and perhaps most importantly for you folks, snacks. Missions like this don't happen without the dedication and teamwork of so many people across NASA and our partners, and that spirit of cooperation and excellence was captured in the very name of this vehicle, the SS Commander William McCool, someone who embodied those same values every day. Thanks for your help today, Sophie.
Thank you to everyone on the ground in Canada, in the U.S., and everywhere all over the world for making this beautiful event happen. It's magic to see and to witness how technology and sense what we can do with all of this. It's very beautiful from here. I'm going to hand over the mic to Jack. He has a few words to say.
Thanks, Houston, and thanks, Sophie. Good morning, everyone. I'm U.S. Navy Captain and NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, a member of Expedition 74 on board the International Space Station. While astronauts serve long-duration missions, resupply and cargo vehicles bring new science experiments, critical hardware to carry out our mission, and care packages from our families. Leaving us today is a Cygnus cargo vehicle that carries with it a tradition of naming the spacecraft to honor someone special. This Cygnus is named in honor of Captain Willie McCool, a NASA astronaut, a naval aviator who was serving as pilot of the Space Shuttle Columbia on STS-107 in 2003, when he and the crew tragically perished during re-entry. We remember the crew and hold their families in our hearts and prayers as we continue our shared mission of human spaceflight. For me personally, it's a great honor to have followed some of Willie McCool's footsteps as an Eagle Scout, Naval Academy grad, naval aviator and test pilot, and a first spaceflight assignment as a spacecraft pilot. He was an inspiration to me when I was a young naval officer, and I strive every day to be worthy of the legacy and the example he set. I feel grateful today to be living and working on the ISS with my fellow crewmates while the Cygnus spacecraft Willie McCool was berthed to Node 1 Nadir, our Earth-facing docking port. As we watch the Cygnus depart, know that she performed her critical resupply mission flawlessly, and today we say fair winds and following seas as she heads off to complete her mission. Following naval tradition, we will now render departure honors by ringing the ISS ship's bell. Spacecraft Willie McCool, departing.
Thank you for that, Sophie and Jack. We appreciate it. And like you said, it was a job well done.
Great words from the crew, both ESA astronaut Sophie Adeno and NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway. You heard several callouts and conversations just recently. Depart burn was completed, and shortly after that departure burn was completed, you heard that Cygnus did exit that keep-out sphere. This means that the SS Willie McCool spacecraft has now exited the International Space Station's 200-meter boundary. Here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, flight controllers in Mission Control are in joint operations working with their counterparts at Northrop Grumman's Control Center in Dulles, Virginia. Earlier this morning, robotics operators here in Mission Control received the go to demate Cygnus, and then they used the Canadarm2 robotic arm to uninstall the spacecraft from its port and guide it away from the space station into its release position. Release was commanded and snares were opened as the spacecraft free flew away from the robotic arm. And the cargo spacecraft was successfully released from the International Space Station's robotic arm at 6:06 a.m. Central, 7:06 a.m. Eastern, as the space station was flying 260 statute miles above the Atlantic. Once released, Cygnus completed a successful departure burn that lasted approximately 6 minutes and 40 seconds, and then it just crossed the 200-meter keep-out sphere. We are now standing by, waiting for it to cross the approach ellipsoid. You are seeing room views here of the International Space Station Flight Control Room as we continue a signal handover between satellites. As mentioned, we are waiting for NG's Northrop Grumman's 23rd Commercial Resupply Services Cygnus XL spacecraft to depart the approach ellipsoid. That's essentially a large three-dimensional oval measuring 4 kilometers by 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers that you see on your screen right now. It's the final boundary, putting the spacecraft in its 24-hour free drift trajectory. So while we are under 10 minutes away from the approach ellipsoid exit, once the vehicle crosses it, joint operations will end. So we'll then wrap up coverage, and responsibility of the vehicle is handed back to Northrop Grumman. Following a deorbit engine firing, Cygnus will begin a planned re-entry in which the spacecraft will safely and harmlessly burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. We're under 10 minutes away from the approach ellipsoid exit, and a unique capability with Cygnus is its trash disposal. While the astronauts aboard the International Space Station unloaded the 11,000 pounds that Cygnus delivered back in September, since then the crew has repacked Cygnus again with trash and other unwanted items over the last 175 days. Yesterday, the crew aboard the space station finished packing Cygnus and configured the spacecraft for its release and departure today.
Station Houston on Space to Ground 2 for Sophie.
She's listening on 6.
Hey, we're about to enter a bit of an LOS here, so that no T2 constraint will remain until about 11:42 and an additional 10 minutes after that. We're not quite finished our commanding.
Copy, no T2. Do you want me to leave the Lab 1 cam then without the wide attachments on the Monitor 1?
Thanks, Sophie. We're actually done with that view, so you're go with your next activities.
Okay, thank you.
You just heard great callouts there between Capcom and the crew aboard station. We are currently going through a period of loss of signal,